Hello, and welcome to Two Chicks, One Show, the show where we discuss one currently airing show, an episode a week as it airs, except this summer, when we have decided to do something a little bit different, because the truth, as they say, is out there, and we are going to find it. My name is Tricia, and she is Kait Calabro. We are the Two Chicks, and for the last couple of episodes, you've probably noticed that we are recapping the X-Files. We're going back to the mid-90s. I think we've made it to 1996 at this point. And we are talking about the show that defined my college years, which is the X-Files, and we've made it to season 3, which means that we're getting into the really good stuff. I think we've finally made it past what Kait really hates about the show, which is Scully getting kidnapped all the time, which happened about 6 times last season.
I think more than 6, but yeah.
Maybe more than 6. But yeah, so we made it to season 3. This is a big season for the mythology stuff, so I am very interested to jump right in and see what you, Kait, thought about it, because Kait is an X-Files newbie.
Yeah.
She's never seen it before. It's very strange.
It is quite strange.
It's very weird. I don't know how you've managed to remain unspoiled this long.
I mean, I know, the only thing I really know is that Mulder eventually leaves. Spoiler.
Yeah, at some point, at some nebulous future, he leaves.
All I know is that the guy that plays Elsie's dad in True Blood takes over.
He's in True Blood?
Yeah, he's Elsie's dad.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize he was in True Blood.
Yeah, I told someone else that's a hardcore X-Files fan. I'm like, yeah, all I know is that Elsie's dad comes in. They're like, what? Elsie from True Blood? I'm like, yeah, you don't know what Robert Patrick did?
Yeah, Robert Patrick's been in so much stuff, though, that it's
yeah.
I mean, Terminator 2, and now he's in Scorpion on CBS, and it's weird. Mm-hmm. Basically plays the same character. But anyway, so season 3 picks up really dramatically. Last season was a big cliffhanger because Mulder was presumed dead.
Yeah.
He'd gotten blown up in an underground train car.
Yeah.
With some aliens. And so it picks up with him getting pulled out by the Navajos that he has made friends with, and they perform the Blessing Way, which I love those episodes.
I love that guy.
You love
Navajo guy. I don't even know what his name is.
What I can't remember. Oh my god, because I always want to say Hagopian, which is the name of the woman in the MUFON group.
I don't know, but he's great. And I thought we were going to see a little bit more of him, sporadically throughout the season.
You see more of him sporadically in future episodes, but not a lot.
Yeah. And also I thought we were going to see, a lot more of, Mulder's nemesis, Alex.
Krychek?
Yeah. We've seen a little bit, but, not as much as I thought.
Yeah, he pretty much just comes back in a couple of my favorite episodes, the mythology episodes from the season, which is Piper, Maru, and Apocrypha.
Yeah. But I mean, he just gets away with everything.
How does
he keep surviving? It's just annoying to me.
Yeah, you're not gonna get any less annoyed next season. But Krychek is a fun villain, because I like him as a villain. He's just such a bastard.
I mean, I'm a little, I always kind of sympathize with the villains. And I'm a little sympathetic because, I think he was, naive and thought, he was doing, this really cool thing for Cancer Man. And then, realized, it's not that cool. And now he's trying to get out, and now he, has to be kind of, an asshole just to survive.
But he was always kind of an asshole.
Well, yeah, he was always an asshole. But I think, in his mind, he thought he was doing something, for the greater good. And then it turned out he was just, some person's, muscle.
Yeah, essentially. Anyway. But so we start with the Blessing Way and Paperclip, and the first big thing that happens is that Scully's sister takes a bullet that was meant for her, which is interesting because this is happening 2 episodes after Mulder's father died, essentially. Yeah. I mean, it's a new season, so yeah, there was a lot more time in between, but the 2 of them suffered big family losses.
Yeah, right after one another.
One right after one another, and they don't linger on it too much, but it does come back. Both of those deaths are really motivating factors in Piper, Maru, and Apocrypha.
It's whenever they get really emotional or into something, they'll just be like, my father died, or my sister took a bullet for me, just out of kind of almost nowhere.
Yeah.
It's when they get overwhelmed, they're just like, my father died and my sister died because of me.
Yeah.
They start yelling at each other. I want to say that Mrs. Scully's a pretty tough-ass lady because she lost her husband. Yeah, she just lost her husband. Now she's losing her daughter, She just lost her daughter, and then Dana just keeps going like AWOL, like this season. Like she's just like, and I think there's like at least 3 times that like Fox goes, "Hey, have you seen Dana? Because no one else has."
Well, yeah, and then there's that episode which again I really like. I love so much of this season, and I forgot how much I love this season until recently. But there's that episode near the end, Wet Wired, when there's that psychotropic drug or something. Is that what it is? Yeah, it's a pesticide, right? And
which one?
Was that the one that was a pesticide? Or it's the one with the colors?
It's the one with the TV.
The one with the TV colors. Sorry,
Yeah.
there's so many that are so similar. The pesticide was blood in last season.
Yeah.
No, it's the one with the weird TV colors, which I don't think anybody gets their TV that way anymore, but maybe.
Yeah.
That thing that they insert. And you find out that Mulder is red-green colorblind.
Which would explain all the really bad ties.
Yeah, he actually holds up his tie.
Colorblind.
I'm red-green colorblind. But actually, someone actually once pointed out that if he was actually red-green colorblind, he wouldn't have passed the physical for the FBI.
Whatever.
I just think that's what fans do, okay?
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, that was the episode where like, you know, she goes crazy and goes to her mom, and like her mom has to like talk her down.
Because she's like ready to kill like Mulder.
Ready to kill Mulder because she doesn't believe him, and that's actually one of the episodes where she's like, "He killed my sister."
Yeah, that's one where she starts yelling about, "My sister took a bullet for me."
Yeah,
I'm like,
and she's doing it in front of her mom, and her mom has to like not freak out about this. Which,
yeah,
her mom is a badass.
I love Mrs. Scully.
Mom. And then, so anyway, this season we get introduced to another big mythology thing. Last season we got introduced to the alien bounty hunters.
Yes.
And this season we got introduced to the black oil.
Where was the black oil?
The black oil was in Piper Maru and Apocrypha. It's that thing that basically it transfers from person to person, and it gets into Krychek, and it like spits into his eyeball.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, the black oil doesn't stop being weird.
Because now he's buried in like New Mexico or like Arizona or something,
in the silo.
Yeah, and like the stuff like bled out of.
Where he basically like vomited it out of his face.
Yeah, that was so weird.
It was, the black oil is really bizarre because it's essentially like it sort of gets built up over the seasons as being like the base form of the alien entity or an alien entity.
Like the black oil
is sentient. Yeah, it has purpose. So it infests other people, and that's how it like moves around and and does stuff. And so I always liked the black oil because you can't shoot it.
No, you can't really do anything.
You can't stop it. I thought it was a really cool invention. It's so creepy, but it's also really, really bizarre. So it's one of the more like off-putting aspects of the show. But I always really liked it, although that scene is gross.
Yeah.
It's kind of...
I mean, a lot of stuff happens in like those 2 episodes where it's kind of like it gets a little confusing.
Yeah, there is a lot that happens in those 2 episodes. I'm trying to remember exactly, like, the black oil is the biggest thing.
Yeah, because like Mulder meets with the guy that works with the cancer guy in New York City, and they talk about that stuff, and then Mulder goes to Hong Kong, and because Krychek is selling secrets, it was like, just like a lot going on
all over the place.
Yeah, it was just like, and Scully's just like, what's going on?
Yeah, and they it's a very weird one.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of big 2-parters. There's this one, and then there's also it's like 781 and something Japanese.
Something Japanese.
It's a word in Japanese. I can't remember what it is. It was the one where they it's actually the first time that Mulder pulls his ankle pistol out because he keeps losing his gun.
It's the one where he's on the train.
Well, yeah, it's the one where they find it starts out with Mulder buying the alien autopsy tape.
Yeah.
And that like sends them on this thing.
Nisi?
Yes,
yeah.
Nisi,
and then it goes into 731.
731, yeah. 731 is the number of the train.
Yeah.
Car. Yeah, I like that episode because it also starts off a different kind of mythology thing where it throws Scully back into it.
Mm-hmm.
So like the black oil and the Krychek stuff is very much Mulder's thing with the mythology. It's it's what he was always searching for. But
it's all connected to his dad.
It's always connected to his dad. It's always connected to his dad because his dad, as we learn, was like involved. But the Nisi and 731 was very much as there's Mulder figuring stuff out, there's also a lot of Scully like learning that, oh no, that thing that you did, other people were there, like you're sort of learning more.
Yeah, like the group of ladies that
MUFON, it's the Mutual UFO Network, which is a real thing.
Yeah, like they meet for like breakfast and they talk about like their issues.
Yeah, I've actually met the Philadelphia chapter of MUFON.
All right.
Because I did a thing when I used to work at the Franklin Institute where that there was this woman who actually, I have the book right here. It's a book about UFOs. And she was selling it and doing a talk and stuff, and while I was working there, and I was the cashier essentially, and she gave me a copy of her book.
Aww.
And I met a bunch of members of the Mutual UFO Network, and it was strange. She signed it for me.
She signed it for me.
She did. It says, "To Tricia, thanks for your interest and support."
Does it say the truth is out there?
It does not, but it's sitting right next to my Philosophy of the X-Files book.
Makes sense.
This is my unexplained shelf, by the way. Welcome to my bookshelf. Anyway, but I like that one because it forces Scully to sort of confront this thing that happened to her that she really hasn't talked about for most of the time.
But then it's like, then she just thinks it's the government. Like she still is not like, it's not aliens.
Right. She doesn't believe it's aliens, but she meets these women who are so convinced that it's aliens.
And is that when she has like the chip, or she had the chip studied before?
Yeah, she had it. She had walked through the metal detector and found the chip and had it taken out, and they've looked at it.
But she like carries it around with her.
She may carry it. That's the thing that that was something different. Never mind. Yeah, so she has it, and she, everybody else has theirs, and like they all just pulled it out.
Yeah.
Meeting. But it's also where there's a lot of ominous stuff from that, like. They, you find out these women have been taken multiple times and remember what happened, and that they remember her being there. And so like there's all this concern that, oh, maybe she might get taken again. Even if it does just turn out to be the government, it's still someone abducting women and implanting this chip in the back of their necks. And then
they all think they're dying.
Yeah, they all think they're dying because they're all apparently getting cancer. Or at least a few of them are. I can't remember how many at that point. But the one that she went looking for, Betsy Hagopian, coming up with, is one of the women who has invasive cancer of some sort. So then there's also that where it's like, oh, maybe you're dying. But so that's, I like those. I like the 2-parter episodes, the Blessing Wayne Paperclip, Piper Maru, and Apocrypha, and then Nisi and 731. I thought those were all really good, and that was the majority of the mythology for the season.
Yeah, for the most part, it's been like just like 1-a-week episodes, kind of like with Monster of the Week kind of thing, where they go to a case and they solve it, or they don't, and like that's it. I think it's funny, and I don't know if it's like because it's 1995, 1996 when this is out, and now I guess like people assume that every episode is gonna end with a cliffhanger, that we get like these to be continued. Like, you don't see that anymore.
Right, you don't see to be continued very often. You do when it's very specifically a continued story. Yeah. But only really rarely now, you're right. I haven't seen those in a while.
Because, like, I just think it's funny, like, even the finale episode says to be continued. Like, I just never see, and I don't know if it's that people, in 2015 expect so much from television, which makes sense because television has, 20 years ago is so much different than it is today, that we just automatically expect to be left with like just a little bit of a hook.
Right, yeah, no, you're right. And no seasons end with to be continued anymore.
No, which is so bizarre because almost every X-Files season ends with a to be continued title card.
There's a lot of them.
It boggles my mind where it's like, are we just warped, like, when, we expect someone to die in the final moments of, like, Game of Thrones, that we don't need a to-be-continued card?
Right, yeah. No, that's right, because, I mean, we expect almost every episode to be just a continuation of the last story in a lot of ways, except during procedurals. And
Yeah.
I don't even know if procedurals do, when they do 2-part episodes, if they even do to be continued anymore.
No, like, I don't think, like, Criminal Minds, example, has done the same story within 2 episodes, but I don't think they even do to be continued. It kind of just ends, and then you automatically just assume that they'll pick it up, and you'll do that previously on Criminal Minds, or, like...
Yeah, and so many shows have, like, previously on, even when it's not a continuation, it's just, no, we have to tell you, we have to recap this shit all the time. I mean, CW's gotten to a point where every one of their shows has, like, an opening monologue.
I mean, if you watch Jane the Virgin, they have the longest opening recap before every episode. And, like, that's a comedy.
Yeah, it's like it's gotten to a point where there are 2 separate shows. There's the show, and then there's the previously on the show.
I guess they just never, like, I guess the to be continued was more popular then, versus now we have, like, the recap before. Maybe.
I mean, I feel like they probably still did that, though, because that's been around for a long time.
Yeah. I just find it funny.
Mean, when if you're thinking of other shows, like, like, Farscape is one of my other favorite shows, and they did to be continueds, but they would also do previously on.
Yeah.
And
but
honestly,
did they
one
only
of their biggest
do
things.
the previously on when it was a to be? Like, I noticed when I watched X-Files, they would only do previously on X-Files when it was a to be continued.
Yeah, and that used to be the only thing. Like, as far as I remember, if you know, and in the comments, if you could think of a show in the last 2 years that has done a to be continued title, tell us, because I'm really curious.
I know, it doesn't happen. Like, I was, like, contemplating, like, writing something about it, like, being like, what happened to the to be continued?
It was actually,
doesn't exist.
Since I mentioned Farscape earlier, it was actually one of the biggest things on that show is they got canceled, like, at the end of filming the last season, and it ended on a cliffhanger. What?
Awful. They, like, got canceled, but there was a to be continued.
Yeah, they left a to be continued on it. So that's, like, the big thing, was that to be continued came up on the series finale of the show, and then they continued it. But it was so amazing that they ended up doing that. And now we probably wouldn't even do that. It would just end and we'd be angry, like every other show that ends.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, even when you know a show's coming back for another season, you still expect those final moments of the season finale to have, like, a little cliffhanger. Every show now does it. Even every week you expect a little bit of a cliffhanger.
Yeah, like the little tag is like, and we've moved into the next part of the story.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so now that we've blown our minds consistently, season 3 has some really great Monster of the Week episodes.
Yeah.
Some of my favorites, I think the fandom's favorites are in the 3rd season. So, I mean, there's one really early that is, like, everyone's favorite, except apparently yours. Clyde Bruckman's Final Repose.
No, I did not like it.
No, I know you liked it. I just know that you like another episode better.
Oh yeah.
But Clyde Bruckman's Final Repose is it's so funny, but it's also really, really weird.
Yeah.
So hold on, let me pull up a thing about it before I get into it, just in case I don't want to say anything wrong. Oh my god, I'm tired today. I have a cold, so I apologize to any viewers who think my voice sounds a little nasally. So anyway, Clyde Bruckman's Final Repose is an early episode in the 3rd season, and it guest stars very specifically Peter Boyle, who I think a lot of people our age will recognize from Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah, that's funny.
But it's this sort of bizarre but hilarious episode entirely because of his performance. Like, he plays a guy who can see the future, but he's very matter of fact and kind of bored by it.
Yeah, like, it's almost like
he's almost depressed.
It's a burden to him. Like, he doesn't want, and it's not even like he can see the future. Like, he looks at someone and, like, knows how they're gonna die. Like, I don't know how happy I would be to, like, know every time I see someone how they're gonna die.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine walking around, like, dealing with that?
And there's so much that I love about the episode, like, just the way he delivers news like that.
Yeah.
The whole thing with the pie.
I think what's funny is that he's knows how people are gonna die, and then he sells life insurance.
Yes.
That's just the thing.
There's that whole scene when you I think it's when you get introduced to him, but it's when he's selling life insurance to the couple, where he's like, you need to buy this life insurance because one day you could be out doing something, and then you get into a car accident and you die.
Yeah.
And that the way that he's doing it, that he's actually seeing this guy's death that's going to happen. He totally puts people off.
Yeah, he's not good at it, but like he's trying to help these people. It was very odd.
He was a great character.
It wasn't like it was a funny episode because of him, but it wasn't like if he wasn't playing that character, I think it would be weird.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily a funny episode.
No,
but it's funny because he's in it.
Because
of the way he plays the character and the deadpan. I mean, and you do get that dude. I cannot remember his name, Yanni or the psychic.
Oh yeah, the psychic guy
who is actually played by one of Dave Duchovny's stand-ins. Nice little tidbit. I can give you more tidbits. Like Piper Maru is named after Gillian Anderson's daughter.
Aww.
Who is now almost our age.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, so I really like that episode. I think everybody really likes that episode. I love that it's how Scully gets her dog.
Yeah, but then...
Yeah, I know, Quagmire.
I'm so pissed. I was like, really? Dog.
Poor dog gets eaten by a
dog.
Yeah, I love Queequeg. And this show, this season specifically, because there are so many references to Moby Dick, makes me want to read Moby Dick.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that one is a really good one. I also really like, and I can never pronounce it right, but it's War of the Corpophages, which is the one with all the bugs.
Oh, yeah, that was weird.
That's okay.
I don't like bugs.
I know you don't like bugs. I don't love bugs, and the giant ass cockroach at the end of the episode freaks me out. And it's a real thing, and they're native to North America. But so the reason I really like this episode is because of it exemplifies the kind of writing that I love about the show, which is every conversation they have on the phone.
Yeah.
I love that they're able to write dialogue so well, and that these are two characters that have really intelligent and interesting conversations in the middle of the night while doing completely ridiculous crap.
I would like once for someone other than like the two of them just call. Like I would like Scully's mom to like call her cell phone once, because it's like almost like automatic where they just assume it's like the other person.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing where it's like the phrases that you hear a lot from X-Phile stuff is, Mulder, it's me, or Scully, it's me, and like you just that's the only person. They're the only people that call each other.
But I mean, like, and it's also, it really just makes you think like I've talked about like being an FBI agent, I think last episode, of like, if this was really how every case was, why would anyone want to be an FBI agent? But it's like, they really must not have a life.
They don't.
Like, is this
Mulder really doesn't have a life? Like,
yeah.
Anytime you see his apartment, you realize he doesn't have a life. He doesn't have a bed.
No.
And that becomes a plot point in a later episode that you will love. But, like,
is it because Mulder's like shirtless or something?
Is he shirtless? I think he might be at one point, but no, it's hilarious. And it's in season 6. But there's Mulder does not have a life. This is the only thing he does.
Yeah.
He eats, sleeps, and like he goes out and finds cases randomly.
Yeah.
Like this one. And then he calls Scully asking for advice. I just love that Scully's doing all of these like little things at home, like cleaning her gun, cleaning her dog, and all this other stuff. She's just doing these little things, and he calls her and like says all this stuff, and then she's like, "Are you sure you don't want me to come there?" And he's like, "No, it's fine. You're probably right."
Yeah.
And
it's also they get like everywhere extremely fast.
Yeah, they do.
Like Washington to like Martha's Vineyard is not as fast as you're making it seem, Mulder. Like it's just not.
He's seated like outside Boston or something in that episode, and it's just far.
Like she acts like she can get in the car and like be there in like 5 minutes. Like
right, it's not like it's a 7.5 hour drive.
But
no, I like that episode, and there are a lot more that are really good in this season. I know your favorite is Jose Chunks from Outer Space.
I mean, it's just so perfect.
It's such a bizarre
so
episode.
good. I love everything about
I
it.
love that episode. It's just so freaking out there. It's one of those episodes where like if you're trying to get somebody into the X-Files, you really want to show them that episode, but you can't.
Yeah, like you definitely can't just watch it without like knowing. I don't know. The guy that plays like the author is hilarious. And then
Yeah.
just like when they like that's not what he really said and like all the bleeps of the detective.
Yeah, the
It's just
bleep and
so-
bleep.
Yeah, and then like when Scully's just like retelling the story and then he's telling like when Jose goes there and talks to the people and then they just do the lines right over and the actor says it. Like the guy that was like done like was working in his garage and was like, I usually don't let random people just park in my garage. Like it was just so weird. It was
the whole episode was bizarre. I love the humor in it. I love the way they directed it, the way they shot everything, the way it was written. It was just hilarious. I love the guy who writes down the whole thing in screenplay format.
Yeah.
Just it was basically like, we need a filler episode, go.
But it was such a good filler episode.
It was so freaking funny.
I mean, like, it's better than the vampire one. Yeah.
Alex Trebek is one of the Men in Black.
Yeah, and then the Men in Black kind of thing, that was funny. And I just thought it was hilarious that Mulder wouldn't, like, meet with the author.
Yeah, but Scully is a huge fan.
Yeah. And she's, like, reading the book in the end. And, like, gets insulted when she goes, but she does work for the government.
And then she swears and has to say bleeping something or other.
Yeah.
I love that episode just because it's so
good.
ridiculous. I feel like it comes up right in a really good spot to sort of like break the tension before you fall right back into the really intense drama.
Yeah, because like the next one is like when Skinner's like accused of like murdering a prostitute.
Yeah, played by the way by Amanda Tapping, who was a star in SG1, but this was before she starred in it. This is between when she was on Flash Forward, that sitcom from the early 90s that you probably watched on Disney. And do you remember Flash Forward?
I don't know. I remember the name. But
Ben Foster and Jewel Staite, they played neighbors.
Oh, yeah.
In the 8th grade. She plays the gym teacher.
Oh, I love Ben Foster.
I love that show.
That was a good show.
The show was I can't believe it only had one season. But anyway, so no, Avatar is a really weird one because it's a succubus.
Yeah.
But it's like the most bizarre version of a succubus that I've ever seen on television. And it's like an old lady and prostitute with her head round backwards, and it's just such a weird episode, and it's almost surprising that Skinner gets an episode.
I know, but I like Skinner.
I like Skinner too. I love Skinner, especially in future seasons, but it's just one of like you're sort of getting to know him still at this point because he hasn't been in too much, and so they just gave him an episode just to sort of throw you in the deep end.
Yeah.
I mean it's not one of my favorite episodes of the season, but it's still interesting, and it's very dramatic, especially coming off of Posey Chunk's dramatic.
I know. I was like, whoa.
Other good ones this season. There was Quagmire, where we will all mourn Queequeg.
Queequeg gets so bad for the
crocodile.
No, the best part of that episode is they're like they're stranded on a rock.
Yeah, they don't even know that they're not that far out.
And then all of a sudden they're like, oh my god, it's coming, and then it's like the frog dude.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you guys doing?
I like any episode where Scully has to sort of be the dude.
Yeah.
So like in Piper Maru, where she identifies the plane because she was, raised by a military guy, or in Quagmire, where she's the one that has to take the boat out because Mulder doesn't know how to captain a boat, but she does because her dad was in the Navy.
Yeah.
I like that sort of stuff. But yeah, and I love the Moby Dick conversation. It's another bit of dialogue that's like what I love about the writing of the show, is them having this really interesting conversation about how Mulder is kind of like Ahab. And that's kind of depressing when you think about it.
Yeah, but I don't think he finds it depressing. Like, I don't think Mulder has any issue with any part of his life.
I think he does, at least maybe not as much at this point in the show, but I think he's starting to sort of feel like, getting tired from the whole situation. And when, finding out, more of who's involved and, that his family is somehow involved and stuff.
I mean, I think he's tired. I don't think he regrets, though, his life decisions.
No, I don't think he regrets his life decisions either. And he's kind of the kind of guy who just doesn't. He wouldn't be playing by the FBI's rules anyway. I don't think.
Yeah.
He just doesn't really care that much about what people think. But yeah, Quagmire's a good one, despite the fact that the dog dies.
Yeah.
I think they sort of realized that Scully having a dog didn't really work.
Yeah.
For the show, and like she'd constantly have to find a dog sitter and stuff.
But it was a little like comic relief.
It was, yeah, for the season, but by the end of the season they were like, nope, we're gonna make the dog get eaten by a crocodile. Which that scene is so depressing. Other really good episodes. There were a bunch. I really like Pusher. Pusher is one of my favorites.
Pusher is the one where the guy just like makes people commit suicide.
Yeah, where he makes people commit suicide because he can push them into doing things. It turns out he has a brain tumor in like just the right spot. And because I really like the ending. The whole thing where, Mulder goes in stupidly and ends up stuck there, and then Scully has to go in, and it becomes essentially her trying to yell Mulder into submission and into not shooting her.
Mm-hmm.
And then into not shooting himself because he pulls the trigger when it's on her.
No. Yeah, and then she pulls the fire alarm.
Oh no, he pulls the trigger when it's on himself, not on her.
Mm-hmm.
He turns it, and then he shoots.
Then she pulls the fire alarm.
And then she pulls the fire alarm.
She's like able to snap him out of it.
Yep, and then he shoots him in the face. Oh, she survives.
Yeah.
Go figure. No, Pusher is a really good. I like Pusher a lot. I really like the actor who guest stars in that one too. I'm trying to think of other really good ones from the season. There must have been more.
I mean, I did not like DOP.
I don't like DOP either, although it grows on me the more times I watch it. I feel like I like it a little bit more.
And like I know like Jack Black's in it, and that guy
and Giovanni Ribisi.
Yeah, Phoebe's brother.
Yeah, Phoebe's brother from Friends.
Phoebe's brother. I think like I kind of liked I liked The List.
Oh, I love Revelations.
Is that? I don't think that's in there. Oh yeah, Revelations.
Yeah, Revelations is the one with what's his face from the Air Bud movies.
Air Bud, Kevin starts with a Z.
Ziegler?
Yeah.
Kevin Ziegler. Or no, it's something else.
I think it's like
Zegers. Kevin Zegers.
Also in the Mortal Instruments.
Also in the Mortal Instruments. I was just about to say that. No, I love that episode because I grew up with so much of that around me, the whole like Catholic school thing and all that. I love any episode.
I thought you were going to say you grew up with Air Bud.
I grew up with Air Bud too. I had a huge crush on him for a little while when I was a little kid.
I mean, he was cute.
Anyway,
he still is cute. Kevin, if you're out there watching this.
I know he is. He's one of our many viewers. But I like any episode that turns their dynamic around.
Mm-hmm.
So any of the episodes that deal with religion, like Catholic religion, especially this one. This is the first one that really deals with it, where Scully is the believer.
Yeah.
And Mulder is like, no, this is ridiculous. I like them turning that on its head because it sort of forces them to empathize with each other.
Yeah, but Mulder really doesn't empathize with Scully.
Kind of a dick.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I think they make Mulder way more of a dick in those situations than like Scully is to him.
Yeah, I mean, Scully is open to anything that you can offer evidence for, and Mulder hates religion.
The one where she was kind of like, but I think it was like they explained it with the two girls. With the,
no, I know
like Connor. Like Scully was kind of an asshole, but I feel like that was because of the.
That was because of the planets and stuff. Yeah. It was making all of the women act weird.
Yeah.
That was the sure, fine, whatever one. Yeah. That's the only time that she's really rude to him about it. He is rude to her about any time that religion comes up. Anytime, and it comes up in the future. I think he sort of eases off a little bit. But I always thought it was interesting, this discussion of there's science versus faith in Mulder's capacity, science versus the supernatural. But there's also this idea of a person of faith versus a person who is not of faith, and sort of having to reconcile those two things in these two characters. And one of the interesting things, as a giant X-Files fan who's read everything and seen everything and all that, got really into the whole backstory, these conversations are almost literally conversations between Chris Carter and Frank Spotnitz, who are the two EPs on the show, because Chris Carter is very anti-religion and Frank Spotnitz is very religious. I'm pretty sure that is the combination. I'm not sure. I don't think it's the other way around. So that they would have these arguments, these philosophical arguments, essentially in episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think it's really interesting that that's something that they played out on screen. And I also think it's an interesting dynamic to see Scully as the believer and it to be something that Mulder should just accept, but that he doesn't. Like, you know, you see this little boy and all the crap that's happening around him in Revelations, and why doesn't Mulder believe it?
Yeah.
But on the other hand,
then it's the same. Yeah, you could say the same where, just like in 731, he's in a fucking train and Scully just doesn't want to believe it.
Yeah, but at the same time, Mulder does kind of believe in his way the things that are happening. He doesn't. It's interesting that she's the one that takes the bigger leap, I think, than he does. Like, she takes this huge leap from not believing anything to 100% believing that this child has stigmata and is somehow religious,
and she's supposed to save him.
And all of this religion, and the dude that's following them is basically Satan.
Yeah.
And all this stuff, and she just automatically believes it, whereas Mulder still kind of believes it in the way that he does normally, where he's like, something supernatural is happening, sure, but it's
God.
It's not God. Like, God does not exist. And I think it's interesting that he holds that belief so strongly. And that she's so willing to accept that, oh yes, God is definitely real, when you also can't really prove that with science.
Yeah. I think he even says that in the episode. He goes, I thought you were all about science.
Right, except when it comes to your faith. And, yeah, and I love that dynamic, and I like that they didn't just do this one episode with it. They continue it in future seasons. And
we even saw it in previous seasons, too.
Yeah.
With, like, she wears the cross.
Yep, she wears the cross. It's actually a really big part of her wearing the cross, and and her being religious, and it being a big part of her character, her being of faith, specifically Catholic faith. Which
is it Catholic or is it just Christianity?
I'm pretty sure she's Catholic.
Okay.
I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure she says at one point that she's Catholic.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
And I think there's a priest later on who she refers to as Father, and Father is only in Catholicism. Otherwise, it's Reverend.
I mean, I'll take your word for it. You did go to Catholic school. I just went to CCD.
I did go to Catholic school for 12 years. 12 years of my life.
I went to public school.
Anyway, so season 3 builds up to this whole thing in the very last episode, where suddenly we have sort of a faith healer. Sort of not. He's kind of like an alien healer guy who can.
But is he like the same alien species that was in season 3 that Mulder thought was his sister, right?
Yeah,
because there's multiple. Yeah, he has multiple identity. Yeah.
Yeah, they're clones of things.
Yeah.
It's very confusing as to who is which ones.
Yeah.
And he's a very specific one where it's confusing. That whole thing I never really latched onto as much as the consistent ones, like the bounty hunters and the black oil, and they sort of start to fall away a little bit. But this season ends a bit on a cliffhanger.
It ends with a to be continued.
Where we encounter. Actually, Mulder's mom has a stroke, and that's when he finds out about her and the cigarette smoking man, right?
I mean, he finds out that the cigarette smoking man
was there. Yeah, it was there. Okay.
And then he knew her mother. Like, the cigarette smoking man goes to the hospital and goes, I knew your mother before you were born.
Yeah.
And I guess the guy that's acting like his source also works for the cigarette man? Is that where we find out?
Yeah, where you find out that X is actually involved with those people. Yeah, he's essentially, I mean, but so was Deep Throat.
Yeah, but like I feel like Deep Throat told Mulder that, whereas like X is kind of like still like Mulder
X
doesn't really
super Shadow Man.
Yeah, like Mulder really doesn't know about anything about this guy except for he puts an X on his window and he shows up.
Yeah. There's a lot of weird stuff surrounding X where he's very, off-putting and paranoid, almost more paranoid than Mulder is.
Yeah, like I trusted Deep Throat in
You
a
don't-
way.
yeah, you don't
I
trust
don't
X at all.
trust X at all. No.
Yeah, but I mean, X is not a trustworthy guy. He's never.
Yeah.
His information is trustworthy, but he himself, like, I wouldn't tell him anything that I didn't absolutely need to tell him.
Yeah, like I'm in the finale. They actually pull guns and like
fist fight each other.
Fist fight in a parking garage.
There's fisticuffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Mulder finds out that not only does his mom know cigarette smoking man, but she also hid one of the stiletto stab you in the back of the neck things in a lamp in her house.
But she said she repressed it. I think Miss Mulder's interesting.
Oh, his mom? Yeah.
Yeah, she reminds me of like the lady that would like just drink martinis because she just wanted to forget everything her husband did.
Essentially. I mean, their family is really messed up.
Clearly.
There's a lot of just
I mean, they did name their kid Fox.
Yeah, Fox Mulder. But at least they gave their daughter a normal name.
Yeah.
Samantha. It went from Fox to Samantha.
Exactly.
And then it ends with they finally find the man that they've been looking for, and also there's a bounty hunter, and there's shooting and running.
That's pretty much it. It just ends with the bounty hunter showing up, and he goes shh with his switchblade.
Yeah, basically. And then to be continued.
Yeah, that's it.
And so we're gonna launch.
I'm like, what the? To be continued.
To be continued. Who does that anymore?
Doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist anymore. No, and we're going into my favorite season. My favorite season is definitely season 4. There's just so much good stuff. So many great Monster of the Week episodes. So I am very interested to see what you think of season 4, and then we'll have season 5, and then we have the movie. So it's exciting. Okay. We have to get through all of this stuff by January 24th.
There's a movie after season 5.
After season 5, yep, we have 2 more seasons and then a movie, and then 4 more seasons and then another movie.
Great.
Yeah, and then some comic books. And then we'll be done. And then there's the new show.
Yeah.
Woo. Woo. No, but so do you like the X-Files so far? Are you enjoying yourself?
Yeah, I mean, like, I just remember thinking season 2 is a little bit more exciting than this one because you're learning a lot of new stuff in season 2. Even though season 2 did annoy me because they kept getting
Scully kept getting kidnapped.
Yeah, and
that doesn't happen in season 3.
No, I was like, wait, nothing really awful happens except for like her sister died, and her
that's not awful.
And her dog was
eaten by a crocodile.
Other than that, it wasn't too bad.
And she goes crazy in one episode and thinks Mulder is working with CSM.
And she, Mulder does try to shoot her, and she has to pull a fire alarm.
Yeah,
So,
but
stuff like that. Everyday stuff.
Nothing bad really happens.
She gets called into Skinner's office a couple times, but
she's always the one who has to go and deal with management when Mulder screws up. Every single time, and that will not stop.
I was my other question is when Skinner calls Mulder to tell him about his mother's in the hospital, does Skinner have to do that for every agent in the FBI, or is it just because he's really close with them? Is Skinner assistant director of the FBI is dealing with personal calls?
He's an assistant director at the FBI, so he oversees certain divisions, and one of his divisions is the X-Files. So he oversees probably 50 agents or something, and so yeah, he probably would have to tell all of them if their mother was in the hospital.
I just don't get it. It'd be if someone called the dean at a college and then had to call an associate professor.
No, I was gonna say this is pre-cell phones, but it's not. They have cell phones.
That's what I mean. Why couldn't the hospital call his cell phone number and tell him?
Where did the hospital? If his mom had a stroke, where did the hospital get that her son worked for the FBI?
And there was they didn't Google how to contact Skinner. It's those things. I'm just why? Did Skinner have to have a scene in this episode? So they were just okay.
It was required to have a scene in this episode, so that's what they did.
There's little things.
Yeah, no, season 4
continued.
Season 4 in a few weeks. We will discuss it. I really like it, so I'm interested to see your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to start watching it like tonight since it was a to be continued.
You are gonna have to start watching it now. And if anybody is really interested in what I'm watching, it's Lost, and I'm on the last season. And you can follow me on Twitter. I am at Tricia Ennis on Twitter. She is at Kait Calabro. Make a noise so they can see it. At Kait Calabro. Hashtag 2chicks1show. You can also follow at allgeek2me.net for the latest in all things geekery, latest announcements on new shows, and all sorts of awesome stuff that we do all the time. If you are an X-Files fan, if you're watching it for the first time in anticipation of the new season, if you are watching along with the 201 days of the X-Files, wow, that's interesting. Let me know where you are because I lost track. Let us know what you like about season 3, your favorite episode, your least favorite episode. Whether or not you are just as happy as we are that Scully has stopped getting kidnapped. Leave a comment below wherever you are, website, Google+, YouTube, Facebook, wherever else we post this thing, because I can't even remember even though I run the place. And let us know what you think, and don't spoil anything for future seasons because Kait has not seen them, and we are trying to keep her spoil-free.
Shockingly.
She will cry.
Also, people, if you're watching this before August 31st, please vote for All Geek to Me for the Geeky Award.
Yes! Oh my god, I can't believe I almost let us get to the end of the episode without saying it. We are nominated for a Geeky Award, and it is amazing, and I think we mentioned it in the last episode, but now, as of right now, you can go, and I will put the link down below. I promise I'll put the link down below. You can go to that link, click on it, go to websites and blogs, and vote for All Geek to Me to win the best website and blog. You can vote once per day through August 31st. Every vote counts. We are trying to beat some awesome people and some really, really popular people. Yeah. So we need all the help we can get. Thank you for all the support you've given us already, and keep watching. Goodbye.